And Windhammer, the Storm Master, with that blasted tuning fork of his.
Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the Super 7 Silverhawks Windhammer figure. This is the first bad guy that I'm going to get my hands on from Super 7, and of course we're going to do a comparison to the vintage. I'm going to have a recommendation on this guy, but so far so good. The Super 7 Silverhawks are looking pretty good. They're shaping up nicely so far. I've got a lot of good things to say about this, and I do want to say that I had the steel wheel yesterday and got to spend some time with it. I've got this one. It's probably going to be a week till I get the rest of them from BBTS. So having the time to spend with them to see all of what they can do and what they're all about is kind of fun. But we're going to take a look at this coming up. Right, so here it is in the box, in the packaging, and I'm not a fan of all these hands up front. It would have been nice to have had like a tuning fork and then maybe the heads or something, but they had to make it all fit, whatever. It's what they did. Now, this is a Monstar face on the front of this, so that's kind of cool. I don't know why I didn't expect that for whatever reason, but there it is. And of course we have the brown box, so decent packaging. And on the back, I guess we're going to see Windhammer and his quick little bio. Alright, so here he is out of the box, and he does look good. He fits the part. Now, understand, he is supposed to look like the cartoon, and he is not supposed to look like the toy, which makes me wonder if we'll get toy versions of these down the road, which I would think, at the price point, they include a lot of stuff, but why not have a swappable tunic, or whatever you want to call this thing that he's wearing, so that he has one that's more toy-colored and toy-inspired. We're going to do that comparison here in just a bit. But taking a look at this guy, we're going to take this tuning fork, this blasted tuning fork out of his hand, and looking at his face. Now, this is not the head that it came with, and I'll show that here in a bit. I did swap them out to see the ease of swap, which it was very easy. And it's got flowing hair. It's all hard, and it does, of course, match closer to the original, but it's more close to the animation. He's got great paint on the eyes and the teeth and the mouth. I don't see any mismatched stuff. There's the factory that they're using is doing some good work. The hair even has some sort of a wash to it in there. Here he is, nice muscular, crazy looking beast of a thing. Almost kind of reminds you of Blanca a little bit in a way. And then it is a little bit scary with these the elbow joint, because I guess the way the sculpt of the arm is, it just feels like it's bumping up against stuff, but there we go. That's about as far as I'm getting on it. I'm not going to do a full-on articulation with this guy, because it's about the same as all their other Ultimates. There's just not a ridiculous amount of articulation, but it's all the same spots. He has huge, massive feet, that's the character has, and he's got holes in the back of this thing. This is Velcroed on, this thing here, so I don't know, if you wanted to tighten it up a bit, you could put the Velcro over this direction. You could take the time to do that if you wanted it tighter, if you wanted a tighter fit right here, which I kind of think I might, but I'm just going to leave it for now. But you could also just squeeze it in the belt to get a little bit tighter fit. But still, it's kind of cool they use the soft goods. Overall, it does feel like, I don't know what this feels like, velvety? Velvet? Is it velvet and something like that? Still kind of cool. And the belt is, I don't know, does it just pop off? It just kind of plugs in and plugs off. It feels plasticky more than rubbery, but yeah, pretty cool. So he's a good looking figure, but it's all about, with this guy, I think it's all about crazy amount of accessories. So let's look at those. Okay, so looking at accessories real quick, here is the head that originally came with, where he still looks crazy, but the other one's screaming. I like the other one because I like the hair, the way it goes. I think that fits the character in my mind based on the toy a little bit more. Here's his tuning fork, which really is nothing. It's just feels like some plastic. It's like a sprue. It's like what you got left over when you pop all your pieces off. It's like a part of a sprue. Don't throw it away. It's not a sprue. It's this tuning fork. And then we have all the attachments that go to the tuning fork, like whatever this one is, where it sort of summons some rock. And then we've got this one here where it looks like it's swinging, and it's like, and I have some great poses for that. And then this one here I think is the best, though, because it's like what he uses the most, and he's generating the electricity, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to see him in all of those here in a bit. But in order to wield all that, you have to have these crazy hands. So let's get into these crazy hands. We do have, I did swap one out on this side, haven't swapped any on this side. This is the holding hand, the pointing hand, which kind of sucked. Would have been nice if the pointing hand had a hole in it, so you could have the pointing hand and he could hold this at the same time, so you could have options. Options are good. Solid fist versus a holding hand, and then another holding hand. I think one's left and right, and then one's up and down. Yep. Because he does need... I think he needs the up and down. I don't know. But then again, there's the left and right, so he could hold it at sort of an angle. I don't know. I don't know which one I'm going to go with. But here's how it pops off. And I like this. So here's the way the design works. The peg itself is too small. It's held in by these two little rivet pieces, or whatever you want to call the extra little circles, the halos on there. And so for that, that's how they slide in and out, and that is a great design. And so with that, you don't fear breakage nearly as much as if you're, well, doing a different design. So I'm gonna go with this one, so he could kind of wield it like that, and that looks kind of cool. And then here he is as the figure. All right, let's get into looking at these different attachments. Just so you know, all of those hands are still the same on the other side. Exact same options for each side. And I figure I'll throw a pointing one on here just for fun to see what happens. But let's go ahead and put this swinging whoosh thing on. And then we can get him into some sort of pose looking like he just used it or something. I call this pose, I'm coming for ya. So, pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. And let's get on to the next one, and the next one is going to be this one here. So just pop it off, pop the new one on, and here he is with this, doing whatever you want him to do with this. So this is kind of huge, and again, I'm really, I don't know why, I'm really nervous about that elbow. Maybe it's good to be just overly cautious with stuff, but anyhow. Probably need another hand on there so he can do some holding or gripping. We'll put this, the one he originally came with on there, and then see kind of how that looks, which might have been the intention of them to pack those on it. And let's see how well he can kind of hold this and hold a stance. This is heavy, so I don't know. This is a heavy piece. Let me. So he's having some trouble holding this one up because this is so heavy. I don't know. I don't know what they were intending, how he was going to hold this, but that's kind of how it would look in the show. But kind of had to tuck it underneath the legs for some support there. The arms, so it's a trade-off. Do you want them super, super tight and afraid you're going to break them? Like I felt like we were way too tight on Steel Wheel. Or do you want them loose so they move easy, but they can't hold this ridiculously heavy? I don't know how heavy this is. This is heavier than some action figures. I mean, seriously. This is like 2 Kenner vintage action figures. It's holding up on his tuning fork. Bother me. But I found out a way to display it with one hand. He's got one hand. He can still do his point pose if you want. But I tucked this into his toe and then kind of tightened it up right there. And he can hold it even one-handed. So that's an option. I like the most. And I really do hate finding downsides to things when I'm looking at them. But that's a downside. Like this is too heavy to hold it up. But that holds it up just fine, easily. And I think you can hold that up with one hand and all this kind of stuff. So, pretty cool. It's a pretty cool accessory. So, okay, so here he is next to the vintage one, which we kind of saw in the intro there. But I do want to point out that he does look more cartoony and better than the vintage toy. And the vintage toy is kind of goofy. And before I collected this, I never would have said, oh, that's Silverhawks. Because I didn't watch the show very much as a kid. And as an adult collecting, I really just learned a lot about Silverhawks. But one thing I want to say about this is we might get a repaint down the road of this. So I would expect this to be on the list of repaints to toy, and probably instead of soft goods get some sort of just I don't know, maybe like an all rubber coat piece. I don't know, that might be something that they do, and they do rubber stuff on their stuff all the time. But let's quickly look at them from the back. And of course we got the switch and stuff on the back, and you could get the same pose out of it if you wanted to. Get that foot out to the side and all this kind of stuff. And what am I alluding to when you do this? Of course the tuning fork's different, so if they did a toy version you'd have to get a new tuning fork, which I would have liked them to have put like a toy accurate one in there, but it makes me think they're doing that down the road. But I'm thinking if you don't want to spend $250 or however much these things are going for these days, I got mine much cheaper than that 2-3 years ago. It's been 3 years since I collected these. Then you could just buy this guy for $55 and not bother buying that one if you're a vintage collector. So how would it look in your vintage collection if you were to say, hey, I'm going to get this instead of $250 on the vintage one and finish out my collection, or just add to it? And I could live with that. I can live with him being a bigger, beefier dude, because if you think about it, yeah, that's the way I felt about Linkso. That's the way I felt about a lot of the Thundercats that are pushing stupid $150, $200 and just get the Super 7 version. And since the size and scale is very similar to the vintage, it's a good filler. Okay, so here he is in comparison to Still Will, the first go around, and I want to say that I still love Still Will. He took a shelf dive on me. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. I just, he's so solid. I just picked him up and tossed him over on a shelf and didn't really pose him or anything, because I'm going to redo that shelf. But anyway, he's took a shelf dive, no damage whatsoever. Still looks pretty good. But side by side, that's kind of how they're looking. This is how this is starting to shape up. Here he is next to Ramen Toy, and yeah, that fits, that works. I mean, there's the Monstar next to the Windhammer, if you can kind of see how that works. And then we can swap out with what I think is going to be more of the size and scale that Super 7 is going to give us, but not the aesthetic. This aesthetic is not the same, but this is a KO. And give me a second to... I'll be back. So KO's not right. It's a bootleg, because nobody's ever actually made this figure to get knocked off. It's a third party. It's not a bootleg, it's a third party. Yeah, there it is. So anyway, I did a review on this one. All of my bootlegs, for the most part, for Silverhawks. There's a lot out there, by the way, but this is how tall I think Super 7 is going to be. Here he is next to NECA's Warduke and the G.I. Joe Classified Gung Ho. I really think Hasbro had it planned all along to give us the correct colors down the road and just double charge us so we'd all buy two. But I mean, that's the Hasbro plan, I guess. But that's how it fits. It's actually shorter than both of these. I mean, this has like a 1/4 inch of a bump from the stand, but yeah, a little shorter than you think. And next to Mirror Lino and Super 7's own version of the Matty Collector, He-Man, which has way too big of a shield. That shield, it doesn't make any sense. Why is that thing so big? But anyway, there we go. And next to Playmate's new Street Fighter figures, they are confused what this is. Is it Blanka? It could be Blanka, right? You could use it as a Blanka. I'm right? Quick update to my display, what I got going on. Obviously, there's going to be a whole lot going on with Silverhawks. And then I kind of, right now, this is my Ramen Toy shelf for the most part. It's finally getting populated with some Super 7 mixed in. We're going to see how that goes. I'll show more updates on this in future videos, but it's always kind of nice to know, like, where are these going to go get displayed, and as the collection grows, this is going to have to get split to 2 different shelves. But currently, this is about all that's out, so I can keep it all on one shelf for quite a while. Okay, so in conclusion, this is a pretty good release by Super 7. It's probably not the character at the top of everybody's list, even Silverhawks collectors' top of their list, but he has done really well. I don't really know what more they could have done for him. I do feel like the big negative is this accessory is just too heavy for him to hold. Aside from that, everything works well. He's got the proportions that you'd expect. It's an all new mold, and everything is pretty good on this guy. So I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm pretty happy. Excited to get the other 2 Silverhawks and the rest of the Joes and all that kind of stuff from Super 7. But I want to say that I have a belief that Super 7 is making way less Silverhawks than they're doing with Joe or even Thundercats, and way less than they even did with He-Man. And so with that, I would not sleep on this. I would get one if you want it. And then if you see a sale, pick another one up down the road. Because I'm definitely, if I see this on sale, like $30 somewhere, I'm definitely going to pick another one up. Because it's that good. And I think they're doing a really good job with the Silverhawks line. If you're into Silverhawks, then you might want to get these before they sell out and price goes up. But I'm looking forward to everything else that they're putting out. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you even know who this character is? Did you see him before? Or do you even care? Like, subscribe to hang out.
We could use some help up here.